smoking your pipe. Yeah, see?
See?
Yeah. What a day.
What a day. Right then, team. Welcome back. Welcome back to the Scratch Record podcast. What a weekend, Joseph. What a weekend.
Good God.
We're literally recording this the night before it comes out.
The night before Christmas.
The night before Christmas, there was a little mouse. 'Twas a mouse.
That's not
no
the words.
nights. Yeah, it is, isn't it?
It's not like a mouse, is it?
Yeah, it is.
What's a mouse got to do with Christmas?
Running something about the silent as
yeah.
a mouse. Silent like a mouse.
It's not the Christmas mouse.
Christmas.
You think of the Easter bunny?
That's not a mouse, that's a bunny.
Yeah, the same shit, different animal.
Oh, that's, yeah. God.
PSA at the start of this, it's going to be a fucking car crash.
Yeah,
we're both knackered. There's no plan of them to chat about the festivals. We're going to chat shit for a little bit. So,
yeah, for sure. How do you think it went, Joe? So, for those that don't know and are just listening to the podcast, we did a multi-venue festival. You will have heard it in the previous episodes. We did a multi-venue festival where we had 25 bands, 3 venues. You will have heard the ad reads in the last few, and from other places like the Cobblers podcast and RGM and all this stuff. So, yeah, it was on Saturday, the 24th. Mm-hmm. It is now currently the 26th. This will come out tomorrow morning. And to be honest, went fucking so much better than we kind of.
It's such a weird one,
isn't it? It's a strange one.
From when we started planning it, obviously we were expecting it to go well, and so it didn't go better than expected in the sense of the original idea.
Yeah.
But from where we were this time last week, then yeah, it's gone better than not like expected, but gone better than the fucking sinkhole we were in. Like,
yeah. I mean, like, we'll break it. We will be, again, as we've said with all of this, we are incredibly open and honest about it. And on Tuesday last week was arguably one of the Tuesday night to Wednesday about 3:00 was arguably some of the fucking hardest hours that we've ever had for our doing this whole stuff.
Yeah, 100%.
We were at Tuesday midnight. We were in here doing festival stuff, and we were $3,500 in fucking red.
Yeah,
we were $3,500 under.
We did like a bit of a almost like a recce of going in, because we probably like a month ago we sat down and we looked at everything and we broke down the numbers and we kind of rechecked budgets, and we were like, right, where are we at? And we were say like $3,500 down.
Yeah.
And we were like, right, we've got a month, that's fine. Like, looked at it, right, if we sell 100 tickets like the next month, and then, you know, a few other bits come through and whatever, then we'll start like pushing through that barrier a little bit. Like, the last month will be fine. And then we basically, then it had been 3 weeks and we sat down and that deficit number had not really moved. I think that was a bit of a...
That was a terrifying prospect. I think the cost of everything had risen. So, like, we had a venue that we, as the story will go on, we ended up having to pull, and the cost of that venue was just increasing and increasing and increasing.
Yeah.
To a point of where it was kind of unobtainable, and hence why we made the very, very last minute judgment calls of fucking pulling the venue, because it was causing fucking trouble. It was causing so much issues financially for us. So we ended up pulling the venue and rejigging it on that Wednesday. And I think that was probably one of the best business decisions we made.
Oh, well, I mean, it saved the event. And I mean, again, I think like it's great to be as honest as possible, like, because it's interesting. And
yeah.
Like, we never like kind of would criticise. There was no one ever did anything wrong. It's just a situation. And to be fair, it all started with Abby Ozard pulling out, because she pulled out. She was ill.
Fine.
And she emailed and said she was ill. She can't do it. I mean, it's one of those things. And like a lot of people said, like on the night, like, oh, like, well, it's so bad, isn't it? People pulling out. And I said, no, it's not, because these things happen. And also, if she's like, even if she was just prioritising her own tour, that's also, it is what it is.
Fine. It's fine.
Like, we understand the industry. The industry is, you have to be for yourselves. And if that's what the case is, but also if you're fucking ill, it's the same as anything you are. But also, we had 25 artists. Statistically,
someone's going to pull out.
Some of those are not going to be able to make it on the day. That is just is maths. There is going to be 1 in 110 band members that are going to be ill on the day. That is a fact. So, like, it was one of those we were always expecting people to pull out. And again, in the situation we were in, obviously, if someone pulls out, then we do not then have to pay them. And that, you know, realistically is a helpful thing.
100%. In the case that we were on Tuesday night, and then Wednesday when we got the email through about Abby being ill, and I hope she's feeling much better now.
Yeah, 100%,
and she will 100% be down in Northampton very, very soon.
100%.
So we are very good friends with Abby, and it's like, we really just wanted to have her down there, and it is gutting that she was ill, but that really triggered a like, oh fuck, let's rejig.
It kind of spun the whole event into like, because we had the plan and we'd just gone on the plan the whole time. Then almost like as soon as one thing went, it was a bit like, okay, we kind of remember that we do have complete control over this event and how we do it. And I think then we obviously then moved the motive into a slot, and then everything shifted down in FIPS. And I think that's when almost then when we looked at it.
Yeah.
The amount of bands we then had playing, even though it was only one difference, it suddenly was like we can physically fit the other bands
in and around
other slots. Yeah. So like, it was, you literally were like, we could just not have that stage. You know, when you're like, you almost want to be like, what are you talking about? Like, we're 3 days before the event, you can't just change something like that. But then it was almost like, yeah,
we could.
We could not. Like, that is a fact, and like, you know, that ended up being Brooklyn purely from. It financial. Did end up being expensive because we paid to rent the venue, and then we also had to pay to get some like sound engineer and a PA in to like kind of get the venue room up to spec to have the bands in. So we almost paid for it twice, and again, that's like just is what it is. That was the cost of the venue, but when you looked at that, and then there only ended up being about 5 bands in there, you're a bit like the amount we're paying to put those bands in a different venue when actually we can fit it in. And to be honest, when I was, you know, you're worried about letting people down or like harming the event. When you look at it, it is genuinely better.
100%.
Because like, and I'd love to know what people think, but like the more, obviously with 4 venues, no music started till about 4, 5 o'clock. And then there's more clashes. You're going to get to see less of what you want because everything's squished up a bit. Whereas we could bring everything earlier and later. Yeah. And you get to see more bands because you can go early and see, and there's obviously less clashes with 3 venues. So I think once we were like, that works, we literally then, we're both at work the next day. that day was fucking ridiculous. Like, we're both at work the next day and we're having to, the logistical operation.
My God.
Because you forget when there's this many people that you have to communicate to, and it was all like, you have to make sure that all of the other bands could do the time moves, and then go back and then kind of announce it to everyone, confirm everything with management, sort artwork out, re-announce it, and make sure the venues are okay, and then sound engineers are okay to get there earlier and do things. And you're like, it was fucking chaos. And we're both sat there doing stuff till like 1 o'clock in the morning on Wednesday. But that decision saved it, because I think if we'd have had 4 venues to deal with yesterday and we hadn't have saved the money we saved on the venue, then
we'd have been in a very different situation.
We would be talking about it quite differently, I think, because that was a bit of a crazy decision, and then it worked out, and
it worked out so fucking well. I think that was probably the most sensible thing we did in that whole thing. And you know, and it's one of the ones that next year, like, we're going to take it into, now we've done it. There's a lot of misspending that we did in certain respects, and like, you know, we lost a bit of money. We did lose money doing that, pulling the Brooklyn stage, but we lost money to save money.
Yeah, like we to be, you know, and that's on them. But we paid a deposit and we cancelled it, so they keep the deposit, and that's obviously completely fine. That's how it works. But again, that's just a good learning of like, that's our mistake. We, you know, we made that decision, but it was still worth it to make that decision, even losing a little bit. But yeah, like the learnings from it are ridiculous. But I do think, like, to back ourselves to make that decision so last minute was crazy.
Yeah,
like, it was a batshit thing to do, but it literally, everyone was looking at it like, what the fuck? But it was kind of
fucking
the right thing to do.
Save the day, man. Just the whole event from that point was up till 1 o'clock on Friday was like, we were back now. Like, we felt back on track, sort of thing. We felt a little bit more confident in it all. And then Saturday morning came and we started setting up at like 9 o'clock.
Yeah.
And it kind of fucking flew by.
Friday was a mad day as well, to be fair. Like, before we skip past it, like, I got here at midday and we were like making sandwiches at midnight to bring to the green rooms. Like, it was a fucking like 12, 13 hour day of literally listing everything that needs to be done. It's a weird amount of things that needed to be sorted before the day itself. Which is crazy. Like, again, it's weird doing everything ourselves. It's all those little things that you don't realise. Even getting everything set up on the website to go is like a full-on
it's an operation, isn't it?
job in itself. And so I had to sit and do all that. But that was a bit of a mad day.
Yeah, because I was out the house on that Friday from like 9ish doing picking up t-shirts on printers and picking flyers up from printers, because obviously on Wednesday we had to completely redo majority of that stuff.
That's it again. Like we bought all the fucking handouts with the other set lists on, the venues on, and that all had to change. And as people probably saw, probably the most useless map in existence. If anyone, that'll be a souvenir, that fucking printout with a map on the back that's just 3 red splodges on a white
Northampton written on it. Like, it was, to be honest, on the actual like Photoshop file, it is a fucking decent map.
Yeah, on the other ones we got printed, it's perfect.
Yeah. But that print, because it was done so quickly on like shit paper, and like it had to just be done because they couldn't coat it and everything. It was like, logistics of printing and it to get turned around in like 24 hours was pretty fucking unheard of. So fucking massive props to them.
100%.
Did my little wine deliveries and helping people. It was like, oh, thank you so much for helping. It's a massive like fucking desperate for it, man. Yeah. And it's like, I think that's the thing, that I think the way that we've done it, and like not to blow our own trumpets or anything, or
blow your trumpet.
Hey, we can blow our own trumpets. I'm down to sit and do it later.
If I could blow my own trumpet, I'd never leave the house. I'd never go fucking anywhere.
Oh, God.
I'd be busy.
Oh, you coming down the pub tonight, Joe?
No.
Got a trumpet to blow.
There's a show going on.
Oh, yeah. But I think that how we handle stuff and being very personable and honest, and that's kind of that's just who we are as people. And I think there is a lot of stuff in this industry that is very not like that. Like, people are just here for money. I guess it's a business at the end of the day, and people are here just to make the biggest fucking wins that they can. And for us, it's never the event side of it is always about that does help. Money does help fund everything else. It does help fund it as a company, but it's not. Especially for this one, was never a priority. We never got grants. We never got sponsorships. We never got any form of funding from anyone. It was literally based off of everyone buying tickets was the reason we could pay for the event. Like, 100%
it's all it was. Self-funded.
People that fucking came there and enjoyed the event were the reason that this event actually happened. There is no other funding that went behind it, no other financial gain from it and from anywhere. We got nothing from no one. And even to the point of when we spoke about it before, about actually having venues turning us down because they didn't back it and stuff like that, to then go to the event and be at best part of 90% capacity and pretty much be on the fucking verge of selling out and having to keep an eye on how many tickets were selling on the door, and to be in that position where, you know, the Black Prince for Cova says, you could probably talk about it because I wasn't at that venue at that point, but, you know, the sound engineer said he had not seen it like that for years.
Yeah, and it was a maddest feeling on the day, because we had a good day of sales on like the Thursday and the Friday. Like they weren't ridiculous, but they were like,
no, they were good though.
They were comforting in the sense of like, we'd reduced that $3,500 down to like 2, with kind of like things like sorting the venue out and Abby pulling out and like a lot of things like that we'd made decisions on. But that 2 is still. we have no money. Like, there is no like, we are just poor. I'm
$2,000 in my overdraft.
We're 23-year-old lads. We don't have anything to put in, so even $1,000 each of like deficit is like fucking. It's not good at all. And again, it was all in our psyche of like, if we lose $2,000 on this, how can we possibly then go like, right, well, let's do it again next year? Like, okay, we can argue there's different things we can do and whatever, but it's still like,
makes it tough.
It is unbearably demoralising. So we were still in a bit of a place, but we had good sales and we were getting closer, and it started feeling like, okay, as long as we have a good day on the day, which a lot of people do, then we'll be there. We'll be getting like closer to it. I still never thought we'd get there. I thought at least a couple £100 to like.
I didn't
top
think
it up. Do you know what I mean? But we that mad feeling of like on the day when they started like fucking coming through, coming through, and I was stood there in Phipps like, and they were just like, I'd check my phone and there'd be like 5 more tickets sold, and the price had gone up and people were still just buying them. And I love like anyone. I do want people to just tell us their experience of that. Like, if you bought one on the day, like how and why, how did you find out about it? Like, how did that experience go? Because it's so like, I feel like we'd put it everywhere, and that's why I was a bit worried, because I was like, surely there's no one that's not seen it yet.
Yeah.
That's just like, it is just the buying trends of it, but it was ridiculous to see so many people like getting behind on the day. And then it did get to that point where it flicked really quickly to like, how many have we sold?
Yeah.
Because it was like, it was so busy in Phipps, and then I'd like ring you and you're like, yeah, and you're putting that in our like chat that we had, like, yeah, it's busy in here, and then Trippy was like, yeah, labs picking up, and I was like, yeah, looking at tickets, like, and how many artist tickets we're giving out, like, we're not far off there.
We're really
like,
close
we need
here,
to keep
lad.
an eye, because we were saying we were going to sell some like venue only tickets, and we were instantly a bit like, yeah, just literally a small handful of people really want to do it, because these venues are going to be quite full by the end of it. And then COVID sets was like, again, I was half running around, half on the door and half doing this, but that room was fucking rammed, and we were manually counting people in to like keep an eye on it, and we got up to, I think it was like 215 in the end, and the cap of that room is 250, but
I don't think you'd want 250.
No, like
we've always said you wouldn't want 250.
You always want to be below your cap. Your cap is your limit, not your goal kind of thing. And then we were manually counting anyway, so I was a bit like, we need to leave a good 10-15 leeway just because
just in case.
It's not a... It's so different. So obviously, if you sell 250 tickets and a 250 cap room, then you know it can't go over. But because we were in control of that, like, we had to keep an eye on it. And then I was like, if you include all the bands and bar staff and other people, I was like, we're nearly there. Like, if a couple of slightly like groups of 4 come in, we'll have to call it, I think. Say sorry, you can't come in. So that was like a ridiculous fucking achievement. And
Mate.
Speaking to like Phil from the Black Prince and the sound engineer afterwards, and they were just like, some like busiest they've seen it, and especially for such a long period of time. And he was like, the difference was, and this is why again it's credit to everyone that backed it, like, he's like, not only was it the busiest you've ever seen, but he was like, I don't know these people.
Yeah.
He was like, every time I sit and do this, he was like, I know 80% of the people in the room, because it's the same people that come to Black Prince to watch the same kind of stuff like all the time, which is great. Regulars keep venues like that going.
Yeah.
And that is a brilliant thing. But he was like, that gave it an extra edge, because you've got 220 people in that room, 5% of which are regulars of the Black Prince. These are all like new people to not only like them but to us. Like, we don't know who these people are. Right? The people who've backed the event, and not because they just know the venue, know this. It's just because like of everything that went on. So yeah,
it's fucking mental. It is crazy. It was a very surreal feeling, because I didn't see you from the start of the event.
No, it's so weird.
I didn't see me and Joe were in different places, because we thought one person down at the bottom end of town and one person up this end is perfect. And Trippy went and ran the lab for us as well, and we were kind of in this weird bit of like speaking to each other like every 20 minutes or so, like on the phone and that, and just keeping on top of everything. But like, it got to the end of it, and I've never felt more like, what I was saying to you, I felt like I'd done gear.
Yeah, literally.
I felt like I was on the ceiling. Like, I was so wired, because everything had kind of just been swap changing, odd little problems that we'd had here and there, and you're so heightened and your adrenaline's so high, and it has been for so long. Like, our bodies probably felt like we'd been in a fucking war. That's the thing you forget,
like, it wasn't just that day. As I said, from Tuesday night, I was in that mode all the way through. That was like pure, like, we'd kind of been in that adrenaline fueled kind of decision making mode for like the best part of a week, and that's why both now we are like so emotionally and physically drained.
I mean, if you're watching this video, we probably both look like terrible fucking shit. Like, but I think we were just talking about it before we started recording. Like, I just hope that now we've kind of done our bit to be like, fucking come on then, like, this can work. Why is no one getting anyone else down here? Why are we not taking these risks? Why are people not fucking doing it?
One of the best things that, like, I mean, so many people said so many like lovely things, and we take absolutely everything to heart. Like, we have put everything into this event. So when people are being positive, like, people kind of saying things and be like, like everyone's saying it, and I was like, I cannot hear enough of positive feedback about it, because it's our absolute baby. But one of the best things anyone said was the Motive. James and the Motives came up and he went, all we've been saying is next tour we're 100% playing the Black Prince. And I was like, that's like,
what we want,
that's the point. That is the point. I was like, I'd love for them to play then, almost like us not even be involved. Like, that is just their because obviously we would want to be involved.
Yeah, I was going to say, I want to be involved.
But like that is lovely that like that thought of that is the point of like it's building it before it's there. And if you do it, people suddenly take notice and everyone then has a good time. And then people start going, why don't we do that like all the time? Why don't we come back there? And then you start getting better and better bands choosing to play Northampton, not just like
because they feel
being forced to or being booked to. They're actually going, fucking remember we did that show there and all those people back that festival, and it was like people got behind it, and it was like you know, that's the concept, that's what we're spoken about so much. So to see that process actually happen, for him to be like, all the lads said we're definitely playing here like next door with it, you're like crazy. Fuck it, yes.
I think the best one that Chris pulled me to one side at the after party, and I grabbed him. I was on the way. He grabbed me while I was on the way for a pint, and he like gave me a massive hug, and from the Cova sets, and we were chatting. And he just was like, he's like, you boys better be fucking proud of yourselves, man. Like, it got me I was like, that was the only moment, because it was at the after party and people were saying lovely stuff, and like, thank you to everyone that was saying really nice things. But for Chris to be like, look, lad, like I told you at the start of when we first met you, is like, you lot have got something, like keep your fucking head down and keep doing it, and this just fucking shows, like it really does show. And he like gave me this hug, and I like stood down, I was like, Chris, shut the fuck up. I need a beer, I need a cigarette, like thank you so much. It means the fucking world, and it meant so much. But like I got quite emotional then, because I was like, he's right, like he is right, like we done this off our own back, and it's like that feeling is like, you know, we don't like being that type of people, but like it was fucking good, like you know what I mean, like
it's just, as I said, it just like it's the maddest feeling. It hasn't sunk in for us properly, I don't think. No. Like yesterday was just the weirdest feeling ever. Like we were just drained and didn't really know what to feel. And then today, like I've both been working and kind of like cracking on back with normality. But we would say it's the weirdest thing, because every ounce of what I've thought about when it's not been like on something else has just been on it. Like it is. Yeah. It has been obsessive, like for both of us. Of like, it has been. Like,
I mean, it has.
Especially for like marketing and like selling the tickets. I just everything we were doing and everywhere I was going, I was just seeing it as like, is there a way we can sell a ticket here, or like speak to someone or do this? So like, then I was like, I don't have to think about that anymore. It was a bad feeling of like walking around and just being like, oh my god, like,
I woke up in a panic at 7:30 on Sunday morning. Bear in mind, I got in at 5. I woke up at 7:30 thinking I've got to take some fucking timbal stand somewhere. I woke up in a panic, and I was like, oh God, what? I like got up, grabbed my phone, and I went to get out of bed, because I was like, oh, we've got to get that over to the venue. Yeah. And I was like, wait, no, I'm in my bedroom. I'm in my bedroom. Yeah. The event is done. Everything's clear. Like we're done. We're done now. Like I've got to take some PA stuff back in the morning at some point today. And I sat there in bed, and I was like, oh, okay, thank God that wasn't real.
It's so bad. It's little things. Even like with my phone, every time my phone would ping, I was just desperate for it to be that little fucking white box.
The little white box that
Wix gives you.
The Wix, like,
well, you know you've sold a ticket. It's a bad feeling.
That like ching, like comes through,
and it's a little white box, and my phone would go, and every time I'd look, and it'd be like Instagram. I'm like. for 3 months. Yeah, like, that's the thing. It's not even been like for the last week, as in for months on end.
Oh, mate,
it's been like, and then when people subscribe to the site and you get the little white box, because you just see the white box and you got to do Face ID to see what it is, and I'll look and it'd be like, so and so subscribe to your site. Still great, thank you for subscribing. We will send you lovely emails, but I'd be like, it'd be a ticket. Literally. But like that like obsession of that it's all just like gone and done. But like it was absolutely surreal, and it just lived up to way more like than we could have ever expected, I think. Like, it really did. Like we always knew we could put on something that would work, and even like the other gigs we put on, like the first one was amazing because it's the first thing we'd ever done like that. So many like friends supported it, and it felt really good, and it was a great night. And then like the Lou one was sick because we obviously sold it out so quickly, and that was really cool to put something on for someone else. But like, this was just like, this felt very different. This was like, different. Fuck me, this is like a thing where like we put the other gigs on and people are like, oh yeah, like I'm glad it went well and like whatever. But this was like, people are looking at you like, what the fuck have you done? This is like a mad thing that like Northampton hasn't really seen like ever, as long as we've been around. Like I know it had a good scene like when our parents were around, and like there's a lot of people played it, but like since we've been cutting about, there is nothing that is actually not only good but just ticks what we had a vision for it of people coming to see bands they want to see, but also a lot of people just coming to enjoy it and then naturally seeing bands that they've never heard of and getting to know them. And then those bands wanting to play Northampton. And when all those boxes are being ticked of like those goals, I was just like, fucking hell, like this has actually worked.
Yeah, it's crazy. We got so many compliments from so many of the people about the bands. Like, you just think, like, you know, they're people coming up like, oh yeah, Lucky Hour's fucking brilliant, isn't they? Yeah. Oh, Lucky Hour's really, really good. And I'm like, yeah, I know. Like, because at that point, at that moment in time, like, we were so heightened until, like, I was heightened probably until like 1 o'clock in the after party. That was like when I actually fully calmed down and was able to enjoy everything. And that was when I started actually taking everything in. But like, people were coming up like, oh, that band's sick, this band's really good, like, I've never heard of this band, but they were really good, and this and that. And I'm like, yeah, I know they're really good. Like, that's why we're doing it. That's why we put them on. And we want to show them Northampton as much as we want to show. We want to show them Northampton and what actually this place can be as a town, because we've got the music venues, we've got people that are interested, but also we wanted to show the punters and people that bought tickets and people that got involved the actual sheer quality of these bands that are up and down the country. Like, locally, everyone knows about the local bands. Like, here, everyone here is so locally in the scene, and if you're in the scene, you've seen the Barrett, Stereo Ghost, Phantom Isle, like Rat Race, all of these lot, so many times that they have that core audience here. But the fact that then people came and stayed for bands that were like, you know, Lee Objective from Leeds got so many compliments. Like for the people that were in there.
Right then, team, sorry to interrupt the podcast. Yet again, this episode is sponsored by our good friends at Photo Mafia Studios. They do photography for bands, musicians, fashion brands, anything like that. Work with a lot of people in the industry that we knock about with, like Rolling Thunder, Tragic, Garden, The Motive, all these sorts of things they've done work with. They do offer affordable studio hire for only £25 for photographers and videographers to come in and use their space. We've used their space before. It is actually really good. We've had some great work done by them. They do also do a lot of podcast work, which links in really well with us. If you are looking to start your own show, get involved with podcasting, they can help with all the production, setting up of it, using their studio space. So that's really good. You can find out more all over their socials. They're at Photo Mafia Studios. And they post regular updates on their website as well, www.photomafiastudios.com. They also have a range of artwork and books available. The book is really good. We've seen it. We are actually featuring it, our beautiful selves. So if you want to look at more pictures of our faces than you already do, then definitely have a look at the book. It's a very good thing to have a look at. But yeah, if you're looking for any photography or videography needs, they can sort you out. So check them out.
And then, you know, Lucky Iris, again, another band from Leeds, and you got Covasets came down from Manchester and got the best response that I've seen from a band in the Black Prince ever.
Yeah, ever.
You were saying like you went and saw Sherlock's in there.
Yeah, and it was definitely busier, and I think the vibe was way better. And again, it just had such a like. It looked not like it looked like a proper gig, because that is so like doing this down. But like from the other gigs I've done before, I've always looked at it and thought like that's our gig.
Yeah.
Whereas like when you see some of the pictures there's like two people on shoulders, and everyone's singing back to them, and it's this packed room, and you're like, that's like a mad thing to see. That was like something that we've put on,
conceived in a fucking pub while you were in America.
I was looking back on our Instagram like yesterday and like looking at it, and like that we obviously did the post with the text, but like how fucking mad is that? Like, that literally started with that text of being like, we're putting on the biggest festival no one's ever seen. I was like, I don't know details. I'm on holiday, but yeah, fuck it. Let's do it. Yeah. Let's do it. Like, fuck it. Whatever it is, it sounds like we'll fucking work out a way to do it. And that was the start of March, and we're at the end of September, 6 months later, and we've done it. That is fucking
mental.
Wild. It's a wild ride, but genuinely, like 100%, it's just anyone who was there or shared it and supported it, because it went both ways. We had people that said it wouldn't work and people who didn't want to get involved, but there was, for every one of those people, there was someone who fucking backed it and shared it, even if it was irrelevant to anything that was going on. But they were like, we want to help and back it and
just be involved.
Obviously, fucking over 400 people were there. There's hell of a lot of you.
400 people. We orchestrate. Like, that's the maddest thing for me. Like, you see all these events. We've been to most festivals under the fucking sun in the UK, and we've been to lots and lots of gigs and venues, and to orchestrate 400 plus people round, like, which is crazy. Our full capacity was 450, and we're going to get the statistic. We're going to sit and do the statistics over the next couple of days. So you'll see that out on our socials and stuff. But to get to that point and orchestrate them pretty equally around all the venues all day. Like the only I think it died down a little bit for like the Molly Berman set sort of time in the lab, and but the Phipps was still pretty heaving for Solar Strides and that, and you know the lab then picked back up for Second Thoughts, and you kind of sit there and you think, actually, like, we managed to orchestrate that many people in a very, very good vibe with no trouble, nothing. Like there was absolutely nothing. Smooth. And it's like, you know, I think we do have to pat ourselves on the back a little bit, because at 24 and 23, you know, 23 when we started this, we were both 23.
I was 22 then.
You were 22.
It always scales back. There's only 3 weeks in our birthdays.
Yeah, do you know what I mean? Like, yeah, it's true. I forget there is that close. But like, yeah, like we are still so young to just like...
But I love the fact that, like, and we said it on... one of the interviews we did about it, I can't remember which one. I think like you said it, or I can't remember.
Oh, Gemma.
But half of it started because we would go to things. We went to Dot and Live at Leeds last year, and we just stood there and were like, why do they do that? Why do they do that? Why do they do that? Like, we'd change this, we'd do that. And I think then, like, we were like, well, let's fucking do it ourselves then. And then when it ran smoothly and people came, I was like, we weren't just chatting shit. Like, we could have been. Like, I don't know. We could have been. I was like, they always think they're professionals, they know what they're doing. But then actually you're like, well, we've just done it. And the way we did it worked pretty well. Like, we made our own decisions, and like we were chatting about it before then, like we didn't have any guidance. We have an accountant because we had to set up the business to run it through, and we had obviously proper full-on advice by insurance because again we had to. We really didn't want to be sued for like several million. No. Someone got fucking eaten by a shark or something. So I was like, we've got to cover our backs there. Other than that, we didn't. Yeah. Every single decision was me and you sitting down going, right, what's the decision to be made? Like, and to be fair, like that's when it does work. Like, challenge each other on what the decision is and what the pros and cons of each side are, and like even if we agree, just argue about it anyway for a little bit, and then be like, okay, where are we at conclusion wise? Then let's fucking run with it. Like, we agree, that's what we're picking. Let's do that. And I think like that process, every little decision we made built up to
this thing
that went really well. And that's the thing, all we can do is thank people for backing it, because I mean it's hard fucking times out there, and you know, the majority of people paid £20 for a ticket. It's a hell of a lot of money. Like, it's very different to when we've asked people to spend like £5-7 on gigs that we're putting on. Like, this is a big commitment. It's a whole weekend of people's lives. People are so fucking busy, and they've given a whole weekend up. They spent £20. People have travelled from all around. They've bought hotels. Like, people are spending all that money on drinking all day. Like, it's such a big commitment to come. So that's a mad, like, we just literally can't thank people enough. Everyone who came has taken a fucking punt on that event. Oh, whether you know us or you're not, or you don't, and you just saw it promoted. Like, you've taken a punt on a brand new event with a lot of artists that you might not know, with no real, like, whatever, like, a couple of lads doing it. So, fucking, like, if people didn't take a punt on it, it would never have worked. So
no, God,
we're literally just fucking, we're always indebted to that.
100%.
We did it, but it's pointless without people coming. So
yeah, absolutely. It's just it's mental. And then you think like, and then also, but on the retrospect of that, and on the like the opposite side of it, like you look at, is it Ian Brown? Seeing all his stuff.
Yeah,
recently.
Kicked off last night, didn't it?
Yeah, fucking doing a karaoke set for 40 quid.
Yeah.
And you just think like this is what I was saying about at the start of it, when we're talking about like people in the industry and it all being financially motivated, a lot of it. And like there is, I think, just as a bit of a thing for anyone listening that feels like they want to get involved in the scene, or anyone that's in it that actually feels like they've been fucked over by people a lot of the time. Like, you just remember, like there is good people in the scene somewhere. They're hard to find because there is a lot of slimy cunts, but there is good. There is good people that are in the scene that are for the fucking music, and all the punters that came to the event for us lot are them people. You know, there's lots of people there that I had no idea who they were.
The vast majority, really.
Like, most of the people, like the after party was lovely, because we did feel like we knew everyone at the after party, and it was a really lovely vibe, and we will touch on that as well. But everyone that came that were they're the ones that are the supportive ones. They're the ones that are actually in tune with the scene and really, really love it. And like, we can't thank you guys enough. And the bands feel exactly the same for everything that we've spoken to them about over the last 6 months, like even longer. Like there is these punters and these people in the scene that are just fans of the music and fans of everything. And they're the ones that you've got to keep close to you, because there is slimy people about, but this... I think we proved that two lads that we're currently sat in a fucking garage.
Yeah.
Like, you know what I mean? We're sat in a garage. We're two lads that have just kind of pulled the fucking socks up out of uni and thought, instead of getting the, like, you know, you do a little bit more of a proper job per se, but like, then we still have done something outside of it and gone, nah, fuck it, like that. That seems kind of shit. Do you know what I mean? Like, we've actually kind of gone, let's take our own initiative to it, and it kind of proves to, you know, not to be one of these wanky motivational...
Whenever you say that, you are going to sound wanky.
I know.
So just back it. You are wanky, go.
Yeah, we are, like, we have proved that fucking anyone can do whatever the fuck they want, and that's something that I've always lived by, and I think you have as well. Like, it's like, yeah, some people call it ballsy, and we had a lot of people come up and say it was ballsy and risky to do this decision, but to actually put it on and then pull in the bands, and it is pulling the venues, and it is ballsy, but in the same breath, it's not. It's just making something work that you want to happen. It's not necessarily ballsy. It's ballsy in a respect, if you've got kids and you've got a mortgage and you've got that, then it's ballsy because it's a huge financial risk, and we're in a fortunate position we don't have to do that. But anyone that's out there that actually wants to do something else that's not what they're doing, and they're scared of what people think, and they're just like feel stuck in their ways, like, just do it. Like that's the key thing that we've taken from doing all of this. Like, we haven't even touched on the fact that we were top 10 in the UK last week. Like, we were top 10 podcasts in the UK, being actually like Spotify got in contact with us, and we haven't even touched on that element of it. But like, even that on top just proves that be true to yourself and what you want to do, man. Like, that is just, it's kind of been, I guess we've solidified that in our head that shit is possible. Like, that shit you can do. Like, you know, the amount of people that told us not to, it's too risky, you can't do that, you can't do this, oh, what's so-and-so going to think? Who gives a fuck what so-and-so is going to think? Who gives a fuck what anyone thinks? It's just you. We've come out at the end of it and been like, oh yeah, we can do what we want. Like, we can do literally what we want, and we've, you know, built a really, really solid listener base, like, community around us that, you know, has taken 2 years or so, but it's like everyone who's now bought into the bigger picture that we've always had in mind over the last 2 years of there being a bigger picture of some point. And now we're realising that people are buying into it, and we've built this community that are that supportive, and it is just, we've just proven that it's possible. Yeah. And I think that's just the coolest thing. Even if, you know, we stopped tomorrow, like, you could come to that point and be like, we've fucking done it. Yeah. 100%. And we have achieved exactly everything that we set out to achieve, and we've come to this end, and we're fucked. We're knackered. We're fucked. We're tired as fuck. We are knackered. But it's a good tired. Yeah, man. I'm a good tired, man. It's like the feeling after, like, it's like being after, like, going for a run or something, where, like, it's like you feel like shit and you want to stop and do that, but you have a bit of a goal of it, and then you finish and, like, you think, oh, fucking hell, I did well there. It's like that feeling, but, like, 1,000 times. Yeah. Like, it has been 6 months of fucking absolute grab. I mean, I think back to, like, whenever it would have been, like, May time, writing 26 contracts to send to bands and send them all out and getting that sort of stuff signed and doing those, like, that's months ago. And it's like that, even then we were doing, like, fucking long nights of, like, work into this event. It is insane. But yeah, it is proof of concept, and it kind of proof of our kind of, like, way of doing things, and why all of it's been, like, as successful, but, like, successful in our heads, and we've hit targets that we want to hit and made memories that we want to make, because, like, at the end of the day, if you kind of think something up, and some of it will work, some of it won't, but if you want to do something, then break it down and look at realistic ways of doing it and do it and try it. And as you said, but not everyone's in a position to do certain things, but you're always in a position to, I mean, like, starting the podcast it realistically has cost virtually nothing since we started it, and it's just taken a hell of a lot of
work and kind of passion for it to get it where it is. Like, it doesn't have to be like the event and the riskier side of things. Like, you can do anything that you want to do. And as we've always said, like, if it stops tomorrow, whatever, like the things that we've been able to do and things that we've, like, you know, sitting down and meeting Jack Mate for an hour is like, cool. He is and probably will always be one of the best things I've ever done. Like, he is, you know, that's an insane thing to have
accomplished. And then within the space of a handful of days, we did the same with the Kooks.
Yeah, that is mental. But that comes about because we went, it'd be quite nice to chat to him. Let's find out what his management is. Emailed them and they go, yeah. Like, it's not actually that hard. But people are like, how do you do that? I was like, well, we asked. And they said, yeah. And it's like, oh, right, okay. Like, you can just do these things. But I think, like, we'll start wrapping up anyway. But there's the main things we need to thank.
Yes.
A few things. I'd like to thank the venues that were a part of it.
For sure, 100%.
I think that does include Brooklyn Social, because we did have a lot of, you know, venues that said no in Northampton and that don't want to back it and didn't want to upset regular people and all this sort of stuff, which is fine. It's their decisions, and they've now missed out on a hell of a lot of bar takings because it's busy. But Brooklyn Social backed it and let's use it. So although it wasn't part of it in the end, like that's good, and you know, we appreciate that to start with, and we couldn't make it work with them, but that's fine. But the Lab, Phipps, and the Black Prince, like, we do owe them a thank you, because fair enough, like, they took good money from it, but they were the ones that backed it and
took the risks.
They were all brilliant. Like, working with them was easy, and they've helped us, like, along the way, and they were useful on the day, and, you know, like, all good people to talk to, and they're supportive. And again, these things wouldn't happen without that, and especially like somewhere like Phipps doesn't need to take the risk of having a music festival put on in it. I mean, it's a brewery. Like,
it's a pub.
It's a pub where a lot of locals and blokes go because it's nice, because the brewery's in it, and it's a iconic brand locally, and people sit in there and drink ale. Like, they did not need 9 bands coming in and playing a festival in there, but they've gone, yeah, fuck it, sounds interesting, and, like, you know, they've reaped the rewards with some good takings and stuff. But, like, yeah, I'd definitely a thank you to them. We've already thanked everyone that came, and then we have to thank Chris, Georgia, Trippy, Raw, and Elliot Williams.
For sure.
With literally every single fibre of my body. And that's not to limit so many of our friends backed it.
Oh, God, yeah.
Everyone who was there, thank you. And obviously there's been people all the way through that have helped it in so many ways.
And bands and stuff.
We can't thank, obviously all the bands, like, we can't run through everyone, but those
specifically 5
people in particular, to quick mouse in my head, those 5 people in particular, like, I've never seen people get behind something that's not like that. Like, they have nothing to gain from literally being worked like fucking animals all day. Like, Chris and George have sat outside for 6-7 hours checking everyone in and giving the wristbands, and then did the door at Black Prince, and, like, dedicated so much time and, like, love into it. And I mean, like Raw came down from Bolton for it, like, literally got a train, came down, paid for a ticket, worked like a fucking dog, and then got a train back to Bolton at 9 o'clock the next morning. I mean, like, that's insane. Elliot Williams fucking played a set, and we were paying him as an artist. Yeah. No, I don't think we were paying him. He was doing it as an artist. Yeah. And, like, you know, to then be like, he had to dedicate everything. His uni mates were there, and he just kind of dropped everything to help us out. Yeah. And then, again, Trippy.
Yeah. Trippy, man.
That kid was thrown so far into the deep end by us basically going, there's an entire venue with 8 bands playing on it, and we just need you to run that. Yeah. Thank you, goodbye.
Chris can come help you at some point, but it's mainly your child for the day.
And, like, he's just thrown himself into it and done an absolutely incredible job. When it's ours, you forget it's a lot easier because, like, the decisions are ours to make. Yeah. Like, whereas they want to help, but then you're thrown into a situation where they have to make decisions for us. Yeah. And we backed them to the absolute hilt, and they did an amazing job. And
incredible job.
I know I said a lot, but it would not have been remotely possible without them doing it.
No,
like,
God,
it wouldn't be possible.
No, God,
without people like that kind of doing it and dedicating the whole time to it, and dedicating their time to it properly, not just kind of
half-assed
sitting there, not really kind of looking at stuff. Not that they ever would, but do you know what I mean? Like, fucking care about it and do it properly. And like,
at one point, I can my mum said to me, she was like, "Yeah, when Naked Next Door finished and the Motive were just about to start, because I'd said like, let's from this point, let's be quite strict on numbers and keep an eye on it and stuff." And my mum said that Chris went to the front and started counting everybody by head.
Yeah.
Like, walked into the crowd and was counting and was like, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7.
he did several times.
Did the half of the room, then went to the other half of the room, was like, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6.
Yeah.
And he said to George, she'd like, tell me if anyone leaves, and was like, and they had this operation, and like, everyone just like, you know, everyone there at that point where it's like we give them a job and they've done it fucking nailed on, like they've done it properly with every inch of them was like fully delved in. There was no half-assing, nothing. Everything was like full in, and you know, they got to see some of the bands they like to see, but also like they fucking worked hard. Yeah. Really, really hard. And we're deciding on how we're going to fucking make it up to them.
Well, we need to do something.
We've got to figure something out.
As what we can, but we are, like, and so many people said it, and they're so right. Like, we are surrounded by some amazing people as well. Amazing people. Absolutely amazing people. Like, everyone who said, from even just buying a ticket and come in, like, that is more than enough that anyone ever has to do. That is incredible. And we do thank you. But those 5 people in particular, it is an outrageous effort, and
oh man,
we cannot ever really pay that back properly, because that was insane what they did.
Yeah, just fucking gives everything that we do these fucking weird ideas.
Yeah,
these, you know, we sit in here, we come up with an idea. I literally give Chris a phone call and I'm like, Chris, this is the crack this week. Like I literally sit there and I'll, you know, go to a driving range with him, we'll go play a round of golf, and I'm like, so, this is what we're doing. Can you help, please? And he's like, yeah. Like, you just bang up for it.
It's incredible.
You know, he's run the cameras since we started in here. Trippy does all of our TikToks. Yeah. And, like, everyone is just so down to get involved, and you can't, like, thank them enough for it, because, like, you know, we're like we've built this community, and it's like, it's mad. Like,
we're at that age as well. Like, these, like, fucking Chris and Georgia work so hard all week, and then they work on their house and all this sort of stuff.
Yeah, they've got a house and a dog.
Busy. They've got a house and a dog, and they're so busy and they work so hard. So their weekends are like everything. Do you know what I mean? Like, you need time to do that. And so the fact that they're willing to then give that up completely all weekend and just throw everything into an event like that, it's just like, it is fucking ridiculous.
Crazy, isn't it?
Yeah, like we are like, people kind of taking the piss and being like, when are you going to just enjoy it and like claim that you've done a good job? And we will, and we have said in this podcast, like, we know we did a good job of it, but like, I'd still just think fucking it's everyone else that
100%
gets behind it as well, that is just such a massive.
It's one of the ones like, we can only do so much. There's only so much that we can do. Like, we organised a really great event. It was orchestrated brilliantly. We did do that well, but in the same regard, like, if none of the community showed up, none of the community we built up from the podcast and everything showed up, or friends and family and whatever, and people travel from all over the shop, and if they didn't turn up, we'd have there'd be no event.
No.
If we didn't have these people helping, nothing that we planned will have gone the way that we planned. You know, you have all these elements, and if people don't take them risks, like venues and stuff, they don't take them risks, like that, we couldn't hold the event. There's nowhere for it to go. Like, it's not. We did have so many people being like, you lot must be like, you've got to be so proud of yourself, you've done really well. And like, we can pat ourselves on the back, and we, you know, I know in 2 weeks' time there'll be something else that we'll be concentrating on like that. But it's like, because that's just kind of how our brains work. But everyone else is it's everyone's event. It's the community's event. It's the people that are involved in us and the scene and stuff. It's their event. And actually, like, we just do everything to put on a good show or put on a good party, and when it works out and everyone comes and everyone loves it, it's not ours anymore. It's not ours anymore. Like,
do you know what it felt like?
Go on.
It felt like we took over the town.
We did.
It did genuinely feel like that.
It was when your dad came up to me and he went, I know it's going well. I'll tell you why I know it's going well. I went, why is that, Mark? And he went, I've just walked up Bridge Street and some piss blokes walking down the hill gave me a high five because they both had blue wristbands on. And I said, that it. He was like, yeah, some piss blokes stumbling down the street in a big group of lads. They all he came up to me and he gave me a high five. He was like, hey, blue wristbands! Gave each other a high five, and I was like, yeah, like, Bridge Street is like, almost like the top of Bridge Street is the middle ground. That was the middle ground between all the venues, and for that to have worked in the way that it did,
people
it's
transitioning
like,
between. It's just
that is what we wanted it to feel, and that is taking over the town, my friend. That is, you know, and I think as a overall conclusion, obviously thanking everyone. We've thanked the bands, we've thanked the people, we've thanked the people that helped and everyone involved. I think the overall conclusion is. Probably is going to be one next year.
I think so.
I think there will be. I think there will be.
I think it feels like
so if you missed out and you've not signed up to the mailing list, make sure you sign up, because that isn't the only thing we've got in the works. There is some other things that are going to definitely rear their head before Christmas. And yeah, stay involved, man.
Stay involved. And I want to hear from everyone. I'd just love to hear. I'm also really curious on like all of the marketing type side of it, of like, if you did come, why? Where did you see it? When did you see it?
We should maybe send out a
yeah, I'm going to, I think, on the next email and be like, can you reply and just literally give us that information, because half curiosity and half obviously we can, like, it's useful to know what works, but like, I'd just love to know why a lot of people did back it and where you saw it and what really worked in that regard, and let us know what you did and didn't enjoy. Like, it's been great, everyone being so positive, but it all absolutely wasn't perfect. We took a lot of learning, so if there was anything that you thought, maybe like you could do this, we'd like to hear it. And then also, who do you want to see next year?
Who's
that's the big thing, really. We got time,
and I've got some people in mind. I've already, to be honest, I sat with my family last night, and we were talking about it, and because I'm a very hard critic, so I was, everything that went wrong, like, not that there was a lot, and we are nitpicking at tiny little factors that went wrong, but I was like, we know now. We know that's wrong. Yeah. Like, you know what I mean? Drum kit slide. Didn't know that was a thing.
Didn't know that was a thing.
Didn't even know that was a thing.
And this is a mad thing. Like, the only time we ever feel like slightly out of our depth is when people start talking about musical equipment. And I'm like, they're like, there's no this. It sounds like they're talking French. They'll be like, no, Ishmael for my snare bong. And I'm like,
my snare bong.
And I'm like, okay. I was like, what does that look like? What would they do with that information? I was like, I don't know, mate. And then they'd literally be like, yeah, the fucking sound engineer would be like, yeah, well, they could just do this and do that. And I'm like, can they? I don't fucking know.
It was literally like, I got a phone call from Elliot, was like, he came over to me in a panic, and I was like, oh my God, it's before the fucking first set. I was like, what's going on? And he went, I forgot the tom floor leg.
Yeah.
I was like, the fucking tom?
What's he got no legs?
What floor leg? I was like, what?
Yeah, it's
what
like
are you on
ridiculous.
About?
Yeah, I know.
But it's like, you know, these little things are learning stuff. And like, I sat there and I was really like, I was really quite like critical about it last night, and I sat there thinking through it, and you know, that's kind of the way I go. I'm never good at being like, yeah, we've done a good job, let's move on. And then today I've been like, I know exactly who would work on the next one. I'm like already in my head, like, let's have a look.
Yeah. And it's even like with the planning and organisation, and as I said, like where we'd spend money, and I said, like, the thing that helps massively now is that we've done it. So like, I think a couple of venues might be a little bit more interested in being a part of it next year than they were this year. And, you know, same with things like sponsors and like additional things you can we've got the proof of concept. We've got the, like, if we can do it off our own back, self-funded by literal ticket sales, then with a little bit extra back in, then fucking hell. You could put on some pretty good event.
Pretty good shit.
It was funny, it was when Harry Smith came up to me and he was like, we talked about their work today, he was like, obviously he was battered, but he was like, just do it every week. I'll come every week. He was like, if this was on every week, I'd come every week. And I was like, Harry, I've nearly killed myself for 6 months to make this happen. It cannot happen every week.
Oh my God, every week. It's so hard. God.
So yeah, it might be another year, but yeah, man.
For the festival,
cool,
the odd
cool
gigs
things.
here and there.
You never know what might be.
I like the sound of once a month, but we'll see what happens.
But yeah, it's fucking quality.
Fucking amazing. Thank you everyone that came. Thank you everyone that's supporting, and thank you to everyone that's supporting the podcast. We've had the best 2-3 weeks.
There's more of you now than there ever has been.
Yeah, so it's been the best 2 weeks of our fucking whole careers in a sense, like when it comes to events and also the realms of the clothing and also the realms of the actual podcast. Like things are looking up on it all. It looks fucking brilliant, and we're on we've got to just thank everyone for being involved all the time, and it's just it's mega. So keep listening. We all good to round it up?
Yeah, man.
Keep listening, keep supporting, keep involved. There's more things to come. We are still only in the early infancies of this whole fucking thing. So keep getting involved, man. We love you all. We love every single one of you individually. And if you are still involved, let us know. Text us, message us, chuck it in a DM. We always want to hear from everyone that's listening and getting involved. So thank you all again for everything you've all done the last few weeks. It's been crazy for us. So subscribe, make sure you like the podcast, leave a review and a rating on Spotify, Apple, Amazon, wherever you are, because you're fucking everywhere now.
I looked earlier as well, 10% of you in the US, so
hey,
you have no idea what just happened in Northampton. Fucking mad. So next year we'll see you all over here.
Oh, we might see you over there. Right, we'll see you all soon. Thank you very much for getting involved. Like, subscribe, leave a rating, and we'll see you on the other side. Peace. Fucking brilliant. Amazing.